I, 33M, fell for my best friend's sister, 29F, and I think I ruined everything. Part 2. The breach. The alert came at 2 a.m. A short ping from the monitoring system I'd written myself. Unauthorized access. Remote node. Nairobi. Half awake, I opened my laptop. Lines of code. Strange IPs. The quiet terror of patterns that shouldn't exist. Within 10 minutes, I was fully dressed, coffee in hand, VPN connected. Old instincts switched on. The call. Claire answered on the second ring. Her voice was low, controlled. You saw it too? Yeah. Someone's in their patient registry. Can we isolate it? Working on it. She was already in her office by the time I reached the center. We sat shoulder to shoulder, staring at the same glowing screen, breathing in sync. For 3 hours, nothing existed except the keyboard and the hum of routers. Finally, I said, found it. Credential leak from a volunteer's tablet. He used public Wi-Fi. She exhaled. So human error. Always is. Containment. By dawn, we had cut the connection and rebuilt access protocols. No patient names leaked publicly, only partial metadata. But for Claire, even one record was too many. She stood by the window, sunlight creeping in. We promised them safety. We kept it, I said. Barely, but we did. Barely isn't good enough. Her tone was sharp, not angry at me, angry at the world. I understood. Old reflexes. That night I couldn't sleep. The breach kept replaying. Every variable, every log line. It felt like Emily's disappearance again. Different event, same helplessness. At 4 a.m., I walked to the lake. The water was still black, wind cold. I stared until my reflection blurred. Somewhere in my head, I heard Emily's voice. You can't fix everything by staying awake. And Claire's. Maybe if you do, you get hurt again. I went back inside and slept for 2 hours straight. First time in days. Aftermath. The next morning, Claire came by my office. No makeup, tired eyes. She set a coffee cup on my desk. No one's blaming you. I know. Then why do you look like you're waiting for punishment? Because last time something broke, someone left. She was quiet for a moment, then said, I'm not leaving. That single sentence did more than any apology could. The report. We spent the week drafting the incident disclosure. Transparency was policy. Even partial leaks must be reported. She read my final version aloud. No personal harm occurred. System integrity restored. Then she signed it and said, You wrote this like someone who's finally not afraid of mistakes. Maybe I'm learning. Good, she said. Because perfection kills faster than failure. The quiet weekend. That Saturday we took the team hiking. Fresh air, no screens. At the summit, Claire looked over the valley and said, When I'm out here, it feels like the noise of the city can't reach me. It always finds a way, I said. Then we build higher ground. She smiled. Sunlight caught the edge of her hair. It wasn't romance. It was recognition. Two people who'd both stopped running. Reflection. I realized then that peace isn't a permanent state. It's a choice you remake every day when something breaks and you decide not to collapse with it. The breach taught me that trust isn't about never failing. It's about what you do after failure. Reddit update, post style. Edit 12. We had our first real test. A data breach, long nights, no sleep. No meltdown, no fights. Just teamwork. Claire said something I keep repeating. Barely good enough is still good enough if no one gets hurt. I think she meant that progress is measured in survival, not perfection. Part 2. 1. The truth test. 2 weeks after the breach, the calm started to crack. Not from outside threats this time, but from within. The discovery. I was running audit scripts when I noticed a gap in the logs. A 5-hour window missing from the central backup. At first, I assumed a glitch. Then I saw the timestamps had been overwritten manually. Someone had tried to erase evidence of system access. I checked the change history. The credentials belonged to Daniel, one of the younger volunteers, smart, ambitious, reckless in the way only 20-somethings can be. I called Claire. We need to talk. Confrontation. She brought Daniel into the small conference room. He looked nervous, eyes darting between us. I asked, Why'd you edit the logs? He hesitated. I didn't want the donors to panic. We'd just recovered. I thought if the report looked clean, funding wouldn't freeze. Claire's voice was calm. You falsified records. I was trying to protect the mission. I said quietly. Protection built on lies collapses faster than any system. He dropped his head. I'm sorry. The decision. After he left, Claire sat down, exhausted. What do we do? She asked. Report it, I said. If we do, he's done in this field. No one hires a volunteer accused of tampering. If we don't, the next one thinks it's okay. Silence stretched between us. She whispered, I hate being the grown-up in the room. Then I'll file it, I said. You can sign later. She nodded once. The fallout. We reported the breach and the tampering. The oversight board thanked us for honesty, issued a warning, and suspended Daniel from field access. The rest of the team was shaken. Whispers, tension, guilt. Claire carried it hard. One night, after everyone left, she sat on the floor of the office, back against the wall, hands over her face. I keep asking if transparency is worth the losses, she said. It always is, I answered. Even when people hate you for it. Especially then. She looked at me, eyes tired but steady. That's why I need you here. Not need, I said. Just trust. The letter from Daniel. A week later, I found an envelope on my desk. Thank you for telling the truth, it read. I was scared. I learned something. No signature, just those lines. I showed it to Claire. She smiled faintly. Then maybe we didn't ruin him. Maybe we taught him something too. What truth costs. That night, I walked home under heavy rain. My jacket soaked, shoes squelching, but my head clear. Years ago, when Emily left, I thought truth was the weapon that broke everything. Now I saw it differently. Truth doesn't destroy, it disinfects. It hurts first, then heals slow. A small piece. Claire and I didn't talk about what had happened again. We didn't need to. The project kept going, quieter, tighter, more careful. One evening, she said, you ever notice how people trust you faster when you stop pretending to be perfect? I smiled. It's the only honesty anyone believes. Reddit update, post style. Edit 13. Found out one of our team tried to hide an error. We reported it. He lost his post, but maybe gained integrity. I used to think truth and kindness couldn't coexist. Now I think kindness without truth is just delay. Part 2. 2. The offer. The email arrived on a gray Tuesday morning. Subject line, National Expansion Initiative. At first I thought it was spam. Then I saw the sender. U.S. Health Data Alliance, a federal, nonprofit coalition that funded cybersecurity programs for humanitarian networks. They'd read about our project in a trade journal. They wanted us to lead a pilot across 7 states. The meeting. Claire called me into her office, printout in hand. Her eyes were bright but cautious. This could change everything, she said. It could also bury us in bureaucracy. She laughed. You really can't celebrate, can you? I just calculate first. She leaned forward. If we do this, it means funding, structure, stability. You'd head the tech division. And you? I'd run operations. But there's a catch. Headquarters would be in D.C. That last part hung in the air. The choice underneath. We'd built our small team here. A tight circle, modest rent, short commutes, familiar faces. Moving meant dismantling what we'd just learned to balance. I asked, would you go? She hesitated. If it helps the cause, yes. But I don't want to drag anyone into my chaos. I knew what that meant. She was giving me an exit. The memory. That night, I walked by the lake again. I remembered Emily's voice saying, you always build walls around things you love, then call them systems. She wasn't wrong. I'd spent my life trying to manage emotion like it was network traffic, contain the overload, reroute the risk. But this wasn't about fear anymore. It was about direction. The dinner. Claire and I met at a small Thai place the next evening. She had a folder with budget drafts and timelines. Between mouthfuls of noodles, she said, I think we can do it. But I won't if you're against it. I'm not against it, I said. I'm just not sure I fit into something that big anymore. She tilted her head. You used to chase scale. I used to chase distraction. Silence. Then she said softly, you've changed. So have you. Maybe that's why it's working. What ambition demands. A week later we presented to the board. Suits, glass walls, long sentences full of acronyms. Claire spoke first, steady, visionary. I followed with numbers, infrastructure plans, risk analysis. When it ended, the director said, you're both clear and complementary. If you can replicate that dynamic nationwide, you'll save us years of trial. We were approved. The quiet after success. Back at the office, everyone cheered. Champagne, laughter, the rare kind of optimism that doesn't feel forced. But I noticed Claire staring out the window afterward, lost in thought. You should be proud, I said. I am. But proud doesn't always feel peaceful. What does? She looked at me. Honesty, even if it hurts. She didn't elaborate, but I understood. The project was growing, and maybe we weren't meant to grow the same way. The talk we didn't want. A few nights later, she came to my apartment. No preamble. If I take DC, I'll be gone most of the year, she said. I know. Would you come? No. She nodded, tears close but contained. That's what I thought. I said, you don't owe me permanence. And you don't owe me waiting. We sat in silence for a long time. No anger, no begging. Just recognition that some stories end in alignment, others in divergence. When she left, she paused at the door. You saved this project, she said. You gave it purpose. Maybe that's enough. It is. Reddit update, post style. Edit 14. We got offered national expansion. Claire's moving to DC. I'm staying. People keep calling it sacrifice. It's not. It's clarity. Sometimes growth means walking in parallel again, not side by side. Part 2. 3. The stillness after motion. After Claire left for DC, the office felt like a hollowed shell. Same desks, same hum of servers, but the air changed, lighter and colder at once. I didn't fill her role. I just absorbed what remained. The routine. Mornings began with black coffee and silence. I came in early, unlocked the door, turned on the lights, and let the machines warm up before anyone else arrived. The young volunteers looked to me now, not for inspiration, just structure. That was fine. Structure I could give. I built new onboarding scripts, standardized data pipelines, and finally automated the report generator that Claire had wanted for months. Productivity increased. Satisfaction didn't. A letter from DC. 3 weeks later, an envelope appeared on my desk. Same handwriting I'd memorized from meeting notes. First week in DC. Feels like living inside a conference call. Everyone talks strategy, no one touches reality. I miss the messiness of our little office. I hope you're still over-engineering everything. See, I smiled without realizing it. Then I folded the note and locked it in a drawer. It wasn't a romantic ache this time. Just recognition, a shared wavelength across distance. The new team. With Claire gone, I hired 2 interns from a local university. Maya, 24, meticulous, eyes full of curiosity. Lucas, 22, chaotic but sharp, code like jazz. They reminded me of what the work used to feel like. Momentum without nostalgia. One evening, Maya asked, "Do you ever regret staying small?" I said, "Not everything valuable scales." She nodded, though I could tell she didn't fully get it yet. Maybe she would later. The conference. A month later, I flew to Chicago for a cybersecurity symposium. Claire was there too, keynote speaker. We hadn't spoken in person since she moved. She spotted me in the crowd after her talk. Same confident posture, but something in her eyes softened when she saw me. "I thought you'd ghost me forever," she said. "I tried," I replied. "Didn't take." We walked to the edge of the lake that night. Wind sharp, skyline burning with cold light. "How's DC?" I asked. "Efficient. Exhausting. Necessary." "And you?" "Stable," I said. "Almost boring." Boring is underrated. We talked about work, not us. It was enough. When she hugged me goodbye, it felt like closure that didn't need words. After Chicago, back home, I noticed something different, not loneliness, but space. I filled it with books, runs along the river, small dinners with the team. Sometimes I'd catch myself smiling for no reason. Healing doesn't feel like a breakthrough. It feels like a slow fade of noise. The quiet friendship. Maya started staying late, working on her own data visualization idea. One evening, she said, "You ever think about writing about all this? The work, the people, everything?" I said, "No one would read it." "Reddit would," she laughed. "They love stories about almost love and moral gray zones." I looked at her, amused. Maybe someday. She was right. Maybe someday. Reddit update, post style. Edit 15. Claire's in DC now. I'm still running the local branch. We saw each other at a conference. No drama, no tension, just respect. Turns out you can miss someone without wanting them back. Peace doesn't announce itself. It just stops needing explanation. Part 2. 4. The story that asked to be told. It started with an email titled "Interview Request," Wired magazine. I thought it was a scam. I even hovered over the sender's address to check the domain twice. It was real. A journalist named Eli Ramos had read an internal case study Claire published about our data ethics framework. He wanted to feature the story, not about the tech, but about how we handled failure and truth. The call. We scheduled a video call. Eli appeared in a hoodie, glasses glinting off his monitor light. "I'm interested in what happens after the breach," he said. "The human side. The choices." I told him we weren't heroes, just stubborn about transparency. He smiled. "That's exactly the story I want." When the call ended, I sat in silence for a while. I hadn't realized how long it had been since I talked about that time aloud. The hesitation. Writing about the past meant reopening it. Emily. Claire. The mistakes. The decisions that looked noble in hindsight, but had felt like panic in real time. I drafted a few paragraphs that night, deleted them, then started again. Maya noticed me staring at my screen the next morning. "Writer's block?" she asked. "Honesty block," I said. She grinned. "You of all people? Honesty's easier when no one's quoting you." The draft. I wrote anyway. Nights turned into fragments of sentences. Integrity isn't a principle. It's a maintenance routine. Transparency costs more than deceit, but pays longer. People leave, projects fail, systems recover. When I sent the draft to Eli, I expected edits. Instead, he replied, "Don't change a word." The publication. A month later, the article went live. "The Man Who Rebuilt Trust After Losing Everything." I hated the title, but the content was fair. It painted me as disciplined, unflinching, methodical. Claire got a quote too. "He made truth a habit." That's rarer than talent. It felt strange reading her words again. Not painful, just distant, like looking through old glass. The reaction. Emails poured in. Some from other nonprofits, some from strangers. One said, "Your story made me tell my team the truth about a data loss we hid for months." Another, "Didn't think honesty could sound practical until I read you." It was overwhelming, but clean. No fame, no noise. Just quiet proof that words can replicate ethics. The talk invitation. A week later, Eli called again. "There's a panel at MIT on digital ethics. Want to speak?" I almost said no. Public speaking wasn't my medium. Then I thought of Claire, of how she'd walk into rooms that doubted her and make them listen. So I said sure. The night before, I stayed late at the office preparing slides. Maya offered to help, but I refused. Some things you have to face alone. I rehearsed in front of my monitor. We think technology protects us from vulnerability. It doesn't. It just records it faster. Truth isn't a story you tell when it's safe. It's a protocol you keep when it hurts. For the first time, I didn't sound like I was defending myself. I sounded like I believed what I was saying. Reddit update, post style. Edit 16, Wired published a feature on the project. People keep asking how it feels. It feels like someone wrote my life in past tense. And for once, I don't want to correct them. Maybe that's growth. Or maybe it's just peace renamed. Part 2. 5. The talk. The flight to Boston was short, but my mind stretched it into hours. I hadn't been on a stage since college, and back then, I was hiding behind technical jargon. This time I had to talk about what couldn't be quantified. Arrival. MIT's campus looked exactly like efficiency rendered in architecture. Glass, steel, straight lines, clean logic. Eli met me at the gate. "Relax," he said. "They're academics, not predators." "I trust code more than audiences," I replied. He laughed. "Then just debug us." Inside the auditorium, I saw rows of faces, students, professors, a few industry veterans. At the edge of the room, someone caught my eye. A woman with auburn hair, maybe mid-30s, holding a notebook but not writing. She wasn't scrolling her phone like the rest. She was just watching. The talk. When my turn came, I stood behind the podium, hands steady, heart not. "My name is Mark," I began. "I build systems that keep people honest, or try to. I used to think cybersecurity was about protecting secrets. Now I think it's about earning transparency." I told them about the breach, about the lies we refused to tell, about Claire, though I didn't name her. I spoke without notes. Silence followed when I finished. Then applause, not loud, but sustained, respectful. Afterward, several students came up to ask technical questions. I answered politely, efficiently. Then the woman with the notebook approached. "The journalist." She said, "I'm not a student. I'm a reporter for the Boston Ledger. Name's Anna." "More journalists?" I asked. "Don't worry. I'm off duty." Then what brings you here? You sounded real, she said. Most talks sound rehearsed. That word, real, sat heavier than the applause. The conversation. We walked outside into the cold air. She asked if I wanted coffee. I said yes. In the small cafe near the Charles River, she asked about the project, the ethics, the aftermath. But her questions weren't about the work. They were about endurance. How do you stay idealistic after loss? She asked. I don't, I said. I just stay functional. She smiled faintly. That's an honest kind of hope. I didn't tell her she reminded me of Claire. She didn't. She reminded me of someone else. Maybe the version of myself I was still trying to meet. The walk. After coffee, we walked by the river. The water looked like black glass. She said, "You don't talk like someone who wants attention." I don't. I talk like someone who wants quiet to mean something. That's rare, she said. Most people talk to be seen. Maybe I already was. She looked at me, curious. You mean the article? Yeah. That was enough visibility for a lifetime. She nodded. Then you're free to disappear now. Maybe, but not yet. The goodbye? At the hotel entrance, she handed me her card. If you ever decide to write that book your story deserves, call me. I know editors. I'm not sure I have a book in me, I said. She shrugged. Then maybe just a few more honest paragraphs. She turned and left. I watched her disappear into the city lights. Reflection. Back in my room, I lay on the bed staring at the ceiling. It wasn't attraction that lingered, it was recognition. For the first time since Emily, since Claire, since everything, I met someone who didn't want to fix me or follow me. Just listen. Maybe healing doesn't mean finding someone new. Maybe it means finding someone you don't have to explain the old stories to. Reddit update, post style. Edit 17, spoke at MIT. Met a journalist named Anna. Not a moment. Just a reminder that not all connections need to lead somewhere. Sometimes life gives you people who don't stay. They just calibrate your compass before you keep walking. Part 2. 6. The page I never meant to write. I flew home the next morning. No delays, no turbulence. The kind of flight that feels like erasing distance instead of crossing it. Boston shrank below the clouds, and with it, everything I'd said on stage. When I landed, I didn't go straight to the office. I went home, opened my laptop, and for the first time in years, created a new folder named Personal. The first line. I typed, "This isn't about technology. It's about learning how to tell the truth without needing to be forgiven for it." That line stayed on the screen for a long time. Then I started writing. Not for Eli, not for an audience, just for clarity. What the words did. Every night for a week, I wrote for an hour. No structure, no title. Fragments came out. When she left, I blamed silence. But silence was just the echo of all the things we never said when we still had time. Trust isn't built through confession. It's built through consistency. Forgiveness is optional. Accountability isn't. The text wasn't polished. It was raw, uneven, but honest. Maya noticed I was staying late again. You coding something new? She asked. No, I said. Debugging something old. The visit from Claire. On Friday, I came into the office and found Claire standing by the window. Didn't expect to see you here, I said. I was in town for a meeting. Thought I'd check in. She looked at the interns' desks, the new energy, the small chaos. You kept it alive, she said. We both did. We went for lunch. Conversation was easy, light, almost normal. At the end, she said, "You seem still. Is that good or bad?" It's rare. She smiled, not the kind that invites anything more, just gratitude. I'm glad you stayed, she said. I'm glad you left, I replied. That made her laugh softly. You always were terrible at sentiment. I prefer accuracy. The rewrite. That night, I went back to my document and wrote a new line. Some stories end twice. Once when people part, and once when peace finally catches up. Then I saved the file as truth_log. TXT. The email from Anna. 2 days later, Anna emailed. You said you weren't sure you had a book in you. That's fine. But if you ever decide to publish an essay, I'll help. The world could use more honesty written by people who learned it the hard way. I didn't reply right away. I didn't know what to say. For once, silence didn't mean avoidance. It meant contentment. What remained? The weeks that followed were quiet. The project stabilized, funding increased, and the interns grew confident enough to argue with me, a sign of progress. I kept writing in small bursts, not about Claire or Emily or Anna, but about the moments in between. The pauses. The recalibrations. The kind of growth that doesn't photograph well. Reddit update, post style. Edit 18. Started writing for myself. No title, no plan. Someone once told me closure is a door you lock behind you. I think it's a window. You just stop looking out of it every day. Part 2. 7. The question of exposure. A month passed before Anna wrote again. This time, it wasn't a polite check-in. Mark, that essay you mentioned, the one you're keeping to yourself. I think it's time people read it. Even a short version. There's a conference issue coming out next month. They'd publish it without edits. No pressure in her tone, but the subtext was clear. Step into the light, one last time. The dilemma. I read her message 3 times. Public meant noise again. Opinions. Interpretations. Private meant peace, but also invisibility. For years I'd built walls to protect my work from the chaos of exposure. But now, the only thing left to protect was the truth itself. I printed the essay and reread it aloud. My own words sounded foreign, like something written by someone who had already moved on. Maya's perspective. At the office, Maya noticed the printout on my desk. "What's that?" she asked. "Something I might regret publishing." She read the first few lines silently, then said, "You already published a life by living it. Words won't break it." Simple. True. Infuriatingly young. She added, "If it helps someone not make the same mistake, it's worth it." I didn't answer, but her logic stuck. The call with Anna. That evening, I called Anna. "I'm not sure I want to go public again," I said. "Why?" "Because I finally like the silence." "Then publish it anonymously." That idea landed cleanly. "You'd still get the words out," she said. "No spotlight, no interviews. Just message." That night, I thought about it. Maybe truth didn't need a signature to matter. The submission. 2 days later, I sent the essay from a new email address with no identifying details. Subject, for publication, and signed submission. Attachment, truth_log. TXT. The body contained 1 line. Use it if it helps. Credit not required. Then I shut the laptop and went for a long walk. The waiting. Weeks passed. No reply. No confirmation. I assumed they'd ignored it, and that was fine. The point had never been recognition. Then one morning, Maya burst into my office holding her phone. "Read this." The headline. "Anonymous essay on digital integrity goes viral." I scrolled through the article. My sentences, unchanged, quoted everywhere. No one knew who wrote them. Comments flooded in. Engineers, managers, teachers, people saying it made them rethink how they handle mistakes. And for the first time, I felt something quieter than pride. Relief. The message. Anna texted later. "You see? The world doesn't need your name. Just your honesty." I replied, "Then maybe I can rest now." She wrote back a single word. "Finally." The calm. That evening, I sat on my balcony with a mug of coffee. The city below hummed, unaware of me, and that anonymity felt like belonging. I realized I didn't miss the people I'd lost anymore. I missed the version of myself who needed them to exist. And he was gone. Reddit update, post style. Edit 19. Publish something anonymously. It found its way anyway. Maybe the truth doesn't need an audience. Maybe it just needs somewhere to land. Part 2. 8. The voice without a name. 3 months after the essay spread, an invitation arrived. No sender's name, just the logo of an international ethics conference in Seattle. We would be honored to have the author of truth_log. TXT speak at our closing session. If you prefer to remain anonymous, we will accommodate that. I read it twice, then leaned back. It felt strange being wanted for something I'd written under no name at all. The decision. I almost declined. Public spaces still made me uneasy. But the invitation wasn't about recognition. It was about message continuity. The work had outgrown me. I wrote back. "I'll attend." No introduction. No bio. Just a voice. They agreed. The journey. Seattle greeted me with gray skies and clean rain. The kind of weather that erases footprints quickly. At the venue, badges hung from every neck but mine. I was listed as anonymous speaker, session 12. The organizer asked, "Would you like us to mask your face with light during the talk?" I said, "No need. Most won't know who I am anyway." The session. When it was time, I stepped onto the stage. The lights were low. The audience was full, rows of people from universities, NGOs, and corporations. I started simply. "You've all read an essay about honesty and systems." I wrote it, but the name doesn't matter. What matters is what you do when the truth becomes inconvenient. No slides. No notes. Just voice. I spoke for 20 minutes about the breach, the lies we refused to tell, the consequences we accepted. I described failure as the only real encryption of character. No applause breaks. Just stillness, attentive and complete. Afterward, when I stepped off stage, a few attendees approached me quietly. One woman said, "I don't care who you are." That talk made me realize I've been hiding from my team for months. Another whispered, "Thank you for proving honesty doesn't need PR." I nodded, said nothing more, and walked outside. The rain. Seattle rain is constant but gentle, like the world rinsing itself. I found a bench, sat down, and watched people hurry past. None of them knew they'd just heard me speak. It didn't matter. For the first time, I felt completely invisible and entirely present. The email from Claire. That evening, my phone buzzed. Just saw a clip from the conference. Didn't know it was you, but I recognized the phrasing. Proud of you. See, I smiled. She was right. She always noticed the cadence more than the content. I typed back, "Thank you. It finally feels finished." She replied, "Then let it stay finished." What peace sounds like. Back in my hotel room, I turned off all devices. No notifications, no feed, no data flow. Just the faint sound of rain and my own breathing. I thought about Emily, about Claire, about Anna. Each had entered at a different point in the story. Each had left without breaking it. They weren't chapters to be reopened. They were calibrations. Reddit update, post style. Edit 20, final spoke at a conference. No one knew it was me. Truth doesn't belong to the person who says it first. It belongs to whoever keeps it alive afterward. That's enough. Part 2. 9. Epilogue, Quiet Systems. I flew home the next morning. No upgrades, no meetings waiting, no headlines to check. Just the steady hum of an ordinary plane cutting through ordinary clouds. When we landed, the city looked different, not changed, just quieter. Maybe it was me. Back online, briefly. At home, I powered on the computer for the first time in weeks. The desktop still had a folder named truth_log. TXT. I opened it. Line 1. Test log. Entry number 0. Everything starts as an error. Line 742. The only clean exit from a lie is full exposure. Line 1003. The last entry before the essay. No system heals unless someone stops optimizing it for denial. I scrolled to the bottom, placed the cursor on a blank line, and started typing again. Entry number 1004. The system stabilized. The cost was correct. I've stopped logging. That's how you know it's working. Then I saved and renamed the file. Archive_final. TXT. Life without entries. Days turned into weeks. I didn't post. I didn't track analytics. Work at the clinic became routine again. Patients, reports, follow-ups, silence. Claire texted me once. "Still volunteering every Thursday. They miss your sarcasm." I replied, "Sarcasm retired. Send them my regards." She sent a photo later, volunteers serving food, the same corner table, the same laugh lines. I felt something unclench. A small visit. One Sunday, I drove to the coastal town where Emily's parents lived. I hadn't seen them since the memorial. Her mother opened the door, older now, but still sharp-eyed. She said, "You came alone." "Yes," I said. She nodded. "You always did your best when you were alone." We had tea without talking much. Before I left, she handed me a small wooden box. Inside was Emily's fountain pen, the one she used to edit everything I wrote. "She'd want you to keep it," her mother said. "I'll use it only when it's worth it," I said. The cafe notebook. There's a small cafe near my apartment. Not crowded, not quiet. Balanced. I go there sometimes with a notebook. Not a laptop. No files, no backups. Just paper. I write about people at other tables. Not their faces, just fragments. Man counting sugar packets before adding them. Woman reading text, laughing, deleting it. Barista wiping counter like it's confession. None of it goes online. None of it becomes content. It's just observation. Raw input without processing. What recovery looks like. Some evenings, I meet Claire for a walk. No deep talks. Just motion. Once she said, "You never told me what the essay really cost you." I said, "Everything I didn't need." She smiled, not sad, not happy, just understanding. That's when I realized healing isn't the return of noise. It's the ability to bear silence without craving distraction. One last message. Weeks later, a direct message appeared on the dormant Reddit account. Hi, I'm writing from Jakarta. I read your post in translation. It made me quit a job that was eating me alive. I'm scared, but I feel cleaner. Thank you, stranger. No handle, no name, no profile pic. I didn't reply. The message didn't need one. I closed the browser, uninstalled the app, and felt something close properly inside me. Closing sequence. At night, the city lights reflect through my window like slow data packets. The hum of servers from the clinic next door sounds almost like breathing. I think of the first time I posted to Reddit. Nervous, desperate, half-drunk on confession. Now, I understand. The platform was never the audience. It was just a mirror. The point wasn't to tell a story. It was to reach silence that feels earned. Final log. In my notebook, last page. End of the log. System stable. Variables reset. No reruns planned. Then, in smaller handwriting. If someone finds this, let it stay ended. I close the notebook, leave it on the windowsill, and turn off the light. Outside, sirens pass, and the city reboots itself again. Postscript, Reddit tone. Final edit. I'm done. No more entries. If this thread helped you, archive it. If it hurt, delete it. Either way, it's yours now, not mine. U/throwaway log, deleted.